Welcome to our international podcast, Below the Belt. Who vex lose? That's what we say. Who vex lose? Good to see you, Beatrice Selby. Beatrice is always here, first in line. Good to see you, Beatrice, first in her seat. She is in VIP ringside, right up front. Good to see you, Beatrice, and all the other folks who are joining us. Right off the bat, today we're going to be discussing the U.S. State Department, their 2021 country report on human rights practices, among other things. And believe it or not, guys, believe it or not, I got some company here in the studio with me. I am not alone. I got backup today. So y'all don't come around. We funny. We tag teaming this thing. We are fired up, guys. We are ready to go. I have none other than the one and only Amanda Desire, our co-host from FYI. She's with us below the belt today. Member of Parliament, AWD. Welcome to the podcast, ma'am.
Thank you, Sharon. Good afternoon to our listeners. It's certainly a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon. What do we have going on today? There's so much happening. And there's so much for us to cover.
And we're going to have Amanda take that back from the top for us. Welcome, Amanda, AWD, to the podcast.
Thank you, Sharon, and good afternoon to our listeners below the belt. Welcome to our noontime podcast. It's certainly a pleasure for me to be
We lunchtime,
here.
we midday.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm happy Amanda said noon because people have lunch differently. We just assume everybody, like guys, it's 12 o'clock is lunch. But that's not for everybody.
Not for everybody.
Guys, if you're hearing us loud and clear, let us know that. Good to see Roxanne Odessa. Good to see Vibert and Marilyn Thomas. Good to see all you beautiful, fantastic folks out there, live and direct. Roxanne Odessa, Onessa Ward. Good to see Sheila Hazel. Marjorie. Good to see you. Avril Jacobs, Shirley Etendry. Good to see all you fantastic folks. And we actually have a new theme song that we're debuting today. This is new. And it's from an artist called Anton Valsom. Well, I guess you know that's Russian. Anton Valsom, Anton Valsom. And this piece is titled Rap News. Folks, we like to give attribution because we deal with credible sources.
Yep.
Yeah, we think he's a fantastic artist, and we found it, and we said, you know what? This sounds like us, very upbeat.
Yes.
You know, right there.
Upbeat but matter of fact.
Yes. kind of like your man, sir.
I try.
Peace and power. Folks, Amanda's having lunch. I had something, take this away. I had some crackers early on. I'm still having some tea bag tea. But Amanda's having a very eclectic lunch. She's having some, is it anchovies? What are you having? Tell us some plantings. Amanda's eyes have plantain. Amanda's have plantings.
It's just some good old plants and the eggs, my people. Some olives and some spring onions. That's about it.
You see,
nothing fun.
Amanda Boji, me know she affording plants.
Well, so
me need plants since last year.
The secret is that I had to get up and go to the penitence market
early
Sunday morning,
and then you flash
and
your
you get
MP ID.
you get
40% discount.
You get some, you get some decent discounts.
You get a hookup.
But that's the only way I could afford these plants.
Guys, let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear. I don't know. Let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear. And we want to make sure you're hearing Amanda clearly, especially. You know, I don't matter so much, but let's make sure you're hearing the MP.
Guys, let's know if you're hearing us.
Yeah, good to see Deborah Clark out of Barbados. Deborah, Drake is next door by you, right? Marla Ali Cook, Debbie Apple. Drake is attending a conference in Barbados currently. And so she is closer to Deborah than we are today. Alex Boom, good to see you. Maureen Chichester, Paul, and Marilyn Ford, all you fantastic, lovely folks. Good to see you guys. Good. Beatrice Selby says, loud and clear, Queens in the house. I think Manso and PCs. Well, Queens can be like in royalty. Your Majesty.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
But thank you for joining us, guys.
Yeah, Marta Harris is here.
Roxanne Odessa, we have Patricia Kissoon, Diane Fordyce. Hey, Diane.
Samoa says she's hearing us loud and clear. Samoa
Excellent.
Williams. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Excellent.
Excellent.
We just
That's
want to know that
that's what we want. Vanessa Lee is a present. I love her. I love our listeners. Love our viewers. Right? They're so matter of fact.
yes. And we're building quite a family here. With the ring, the FYI, the credible sources.
Very much so.
I think it's a very good thing that that's going on, where people know that there's a source that they can come to for credible and reliable information. So Deborah is asking for a contact number for Joretta. Deborah, if you go to Joretta's Facebook, you can inbox her there.
Yeah.
She'll be able to share all of those details with you. I'm sure she'd be happy to see you. Desmond Harris says, good day. I'm watching from home.
Good.
Shondell says she's tuned in from the west side.
Best side.
Which is the best side.
A lot of things come out to read and these days. I don't know about that. And they're kind of telling it out. Telling out the brand.
Yeah.
And the best side brand. They're telling it out. Sierra Bell, good to see you.
Yeah, we're seeing you.
Yeah. Good to have you.
Seeing you. Sandrine Berry says she's listening from Linden.
Oh, yes. Yep. We telling the mind in town.
She there.
We telling the mind in town. I was outside by Tugville Secondary, and a woman came up, was apparently one of our ardent fans, Emily Durant. And it's always nice to meet our folks in person. And she said, we there. So once once you hear that,
Emily's name is always popping
that's
up. That's
good. Emily said, we there.
And I got some very good feedback on the program this morning. Quite a few people texted to say, they thoroughly enjoyed the information. And folks, that is what we strive to do here. Because outside of politics and, irrespective of with whom you're politically aligned, we really passionately believe that informed citizens make informed decisions. And so we seek at all times to bring you credible and valid information so that you can make informed decisions about your life and about the future and the direction of this country, because as citizens, we have the greatest stake in the direction that Guyana takes. And so we're going to be discussing a couple of issues today that are in the news, but directly impact each and every one of our lives. Their security implications, their implications for law and order. And you may wish to say that, this doesn't bother me, this doesn't affect me. But the question remains, how can you say that? Because as the poet Martin Carter said, all are involved and all will be consumed. And what the COVID pandemic has shown us is that we are more connected than we think.
Very much so. And, really good to see all these folks already joining us. Only because Man's here. By a set of people. Only because Man's here. But we are happy. We can take it however we get it. We're going to take it however we get it. Good to see each and every one of you. Fitzgullivan, Audrey Ward, Donna Liverpool, good to see you. And I see Claire is here as well. Claire Capel, that is. And Shondell Moses. Good to see Natasha.
Hey, Tash.
Singh is here. Natasha, how are you doing? Natasha, you're on the wrong side of this thing, You're on the wrong side of this thing.
How are you looking at this thing on Facebook, Tash?
How are you looking at this thing?
You need to be in studio.
Stop it. Stop this nonsense right now. Right now. Stop this thing right now.
We see Andrew Cosworth. He says he's listening. So, guys, remember to share the live stream. We're going to get to a certain number, and then, of course, we're going to start bringing you the information and the facts as we understand them to be. This afternoon, we'll be focusing on the 2021 Country Reports on Human Rights Practices. A lot of very interesting content in there. And we're going to be delving into it today and over the course of the next few days. Listen, my people, Guyana is ours to build. And so everything that affects us, we as citizens have to concern ourselves with. And so when you see the breakdown of law and order, know and understand that it is something that directly touches and concerns you as citizens, me as a citizen, Sherrod as a citizen, and that it is in our power to demand more, and it is within our power to demand that the government address these issues. So stay tuned with us. We're going to be delving into that 2021 country report on human rights and practices. Like I said, we strive to bring you credible information. If you notice we haven't said something on a matter, it's because we're researching it, because we are determined to bring you the facts. And so I think we have another guest.
Natasha Singh Lewis, MP. Rock and come in. A very good afternoon, ma'am.
Oh my God, good afternoon.
Hey, Natasha.
You don't be standing outside the studio and making comments on social media. You find your way inside.
Now the world knows that I call him love.
Yes, you're live on the podcast Below the Belt.
Natasha, how are you doing?
I am all right. You might know I am in my last lap of my race of Ramadan fasting. We have a few more days, so these are the days when you intensify all of the good deeds and hope for the rewards. But I'm here with you.
And please pray for us as well. Continue to pray for us, not pray for us. Continue to pray for us, because as we go through the information on a daily basis, it gets worse every time.
Yes, indeed.
It gets worse every
It's
time.
hard to see how we gaslight victims. There's so many things I've been following on social media, and just because I've dedicated this 1 month to my spiritual development, I restrain myself so much from making statements and comments, but it's too much.
Understand that.
I really can't understand, Chard, and allow me. I just came on, not knowing what your topic is today, but allow me to share a little bit on that 14-year-old issue.
Go right ahead.
It bothers me to the bone that we have a female Minister of Human Services. And I'm sure whatever the ministry puts out as a statement is approved by the minister. And to allow her staff, or for her, I really don't want to think it's the minister who would put out those statements by instructions, to allow them to gaslight and to victim blame the parent and the child in this situation. It boggles my mind how our national leaders can be so irresponsible.
Natasha, not all our listeners might be au fait with exactly what was put out. So give us that bit of context. What was said?
All right. So the issue I'm speaking about is the teenager from the East Coast that would have missing a few days ago. Simona Brooms and Melly Mel would have gone with the mother on the Tuesday-Clinton Highway when they received information where the child was.
Correct.
And we saw that live of how that went. In that live, we learned that the police on the East Coast was contacted. Actually went to the police station at BV and begged them to intervene to ensure that the child comes back home. They go looking for the child. Nothing was done. She reported to the trafficking unit under the Ministry of Social Protection. They did absolutely nothing until Simona Brooms went live.
Then everybody
saw them reaching out to the parents.
Yeah. This is Priya Beaton is the mother's name. At least that's the report we have. And the daughter is who went missing is a young Erica Lal.
Yes. And so, Sherrod, we have to, like Amanda is saying, we have to be concerned and we have to have a say. Unless the information out, the government doesn't act because they don't care about the people in the communities. It's simple as that. They don't care unless it becomes public knowledge, and people will shame them for their uncaring acts. Then they're going to come out, and that's one thing. But to turn the entire situation back on the victim and the victim's mother is a whole different story altogether. I can't understand that.
Yeah, I saw one report that suggested that the mother might have been abusive to the child, and maybe that's one of the reasons I would figure the child would have left. At least that's what the report was suggesting. You know.
And if you check the media house that report is coming from, it's questionable.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
it really does point, Natasha and Cheryl, to the need for us to, one, have leaders that possess emotional intelligence. I do not
Absolutely.
believe that a statement would leave the ministry unless some competent person, whether they be in PR or the minister herself, would have approved it. The other thing that we have to be aware of is that when you make statements like the one that they would have made without a full and thorough investigation, what you're doing is that you're desensitizing people to when these young people go missing, because you're opening the door to assumptions of abuse, etc. It is very, very important that we understand that there are particular protocols and practices that should inform us dealing with the issue of missing children, of children who have run away from home, and of children who are in dangerous circumstances. There are codes of conduct, and they are standard operating procedures to be employed. And you're seeing this government, they're not doing any of those. It is as if they are unaware that these protocols exist. And so what they are essentially doing, as you rightly said, is re-victimizing the victims of this. And we said this morning that as citizens, we have to be a little more cautious and caring in what we put out there.
correct.
Yesterday, I had the opportunity to interact with a young girl who had gone through a particular situation. She was drugged and she was sexually assaulted. And it is so painful to know that she feel like if she can't walk the street, because instead of being that love and that support, her community is basically throwing this in her face as if it were her fault, as if, she's to be blamed for what happened. And so we have to be careful that we do not lose our humanity in all of this.
And Amanza, in relation to that particular situation you're mentioning, a spin-off of that is suicide.
Absolutely.
And we wonder why our young people are taking their own lives.
Because here I am, something so traumatic has happened to me. And instead of my community embracing me, healing me, they're basically just putting salt in an open wound. So how do our young people heal? Where do they go to find refuge? And very, very often, what you find is that the people who end up trafficking them appear to them as angels of mercy in the beginning, winning their trust,
Yeah.
gaining their confidence, and then exploiting them. So we really have a lot of work to do, MP
And
Natasha.
the question can be asked, where is the psychosocial support that the government is obligated to provide for the citizens at all levels? At all levels. It is needed much more in the schools and in the community.
Yes, and this is the point that I believe you were making during the budget debates, that there seems to be little or no emphasis on mental health. The paltry sums that they have um, allocated to mental health and to providing that psychosocial support is embarrassing, to say the least.
Yeah. And we're seeing that it means that they have not recognized what is happening in society. They have not done any research, so there is no data to tell them what is happening as a result of the pandemic. What is the condition or the state of mind of our people? I know at the opening conference for GTU a few days ago, the president of GTU made a very clear call to the Minister of Education. They need psychosocial support for all of their teachers because of the trauma they would have suffered during the pandemic. And I believe that call has to be a lot louder for all of us to understand what is happening.
And I think this is where Priya needs to focus. She needs to focus on providing the support that the teachers need in order to be able to effectively educate the nation. Very often, and I speak about this as the child of a teacher. My mother taught for in excess of 40 years. And a lot of people sometimes, I know that we can be very hard on teachers, but we forget that when they are done with 30 children in a class, many of them still have to go home to deal with 3, 4, 5 children of their own, help with homework. And so very often we forget that these teachers are human as well. And so the ministry has to be able to step in and provide that psychosocial uh, support that we need. But this is a conversation that we have to keep on the front burner and that we have to keep going because we are in danger of losing an entire generation to depression and to mental maladjustments because we are failing as a society to identify the problems and make early interventions.
Correct is right. Correct is right. I know. I'm happy that Natasha mentioned the GTU and its president, Mr. Mark Light, because it provides the segue into the other issue we wanted to touch on as we get into our program. The Chuckville Secondary School this morning had reason to have the teachers not enter the classroom or the students because there's been a persistent problem there where when they touch the building, a particular building that they were being housed in, they were being shocked, literally shocked, as in electrocuted shock, right? And so that has been a persistent problem we're told since last year. And so the teachers took a stand today, even though the principal education officer, the PEO, was instructing them to heading to the building and, for both teachers and students to continue as per normal. There's another issue where they're not getting water to another building that they had assigned to them um, outside of this other building that is giving them this electroshock therapy. Um, and there was also some, well, there wasn't any in terms of potable water, but it was a lot of accumulation of water on the ground. And we're being told this is not a problem with the rain, it's a problem with the in that particular area where students have to traverse. It's usually a norm that water accumulates there, and they were hoping that, over the school holidays, that would have been rectified along with the potable water issue and as well the issue with the students and teachers being shocked, literally shocked, if you touch this particular building, aspects of this building. And so that was receiving the attention of the ministry, until when we were coming on airtime.
And so you have a combination of water and electricity. I mean, just one of the most lethal combinations that you could possibly
Yes.
have. And I can't help but wonder, when are we going to have systems in place where you have persons who are functioning in their positions? There has to be somebody who's responsible for that school that
Mhm.
knows that school is
Yeah,
reopening today
yeah,
and would have made checks yesterday to ensure that
yeah,
everything. This is not rocket science. I keep
yeah.
saying that we are 750,000 of us in this 83,000 square miles. We are the population of some small towns
Mhm.
in other parts
Yeah,
of the world.
yeah.
And these minor matters we can't get right.
As a matter of fact, wasn't it a 2 weeks break for Easter? Was it?
2 weeks.
And I saw even the drain in front of the school had a lot of grass. Hasn't been cleaned in a little while. That looks like more than 2 weeks to me, but let's take it as 2 weeks. So, you must have a checklist, I think, as an administrator. You're reopening the school. You were saying, we need to get these things done.
No, Sharon.
Mm-hmm.
It's very simple. The Ministry of Education has something called the non-academic standards,
Mm-hmm.
and it speaks to the physical facility for a learner and the teachers. By law, the teachers are entitled to a proper working environment. The labor laws provide for that. And
Absolutely.
the students are covered by the non-academic standards, which tells you how many students should be per square foot in a classroom, and the ventilation and the lighting and all of that is. But the question is, like Amanza is asking about the human resource, those documents are well done and put there. How many of the head teachers, how many of the education officers will pick it up to go to Tocqueville and say, well, here is a checklist. This is what needs to be done because according to ventilation, you don't have adequate windows. According to the classroom standards, you don't have this. How many persons will do that?
Yeah.
That is something that should be done. So the guiding documents are there. It is the implementation.
Wow. I don't want to necessarily politic on this. Some things you just gotta fix. Just let me fix it.
Yes.
Just let me fix it.
This is our nation's. It's our children. Fix it so they can go to school. I mean, some things just ought not even to be an issue. And if the reports are correct and the PO is saying to them, go back into the building, I quite frankly agree with the teachers. Why would you be asking me to jeopardize my safety and the safety of people's children?
If they're being physically
If you're being
shocked,
shocked,
literally shocked, right? Why do I want to go back into that building? Right? And I don't necessarily want to say it's prayer, right? Because I'm certain you got people at lower levels who are entrusted to look at these problems and to get them sorted out. Right? But if it's prayer, come on, we gotta do better. We gotta do better. Let me just fix it. So our children can actually just go into class and learn.
But only last week we celebrated Occupational Safety and Health Week.
Well, they're being shocked this week, ma'am. they're being shocked to learn this week. All right. They're being shocked this week. That is the reality of the thing. All right? No ifs and buts. That is the reality of it. MP Natasha St. Louis. Please be advised.
Because we are a reactive society.
Yes.
We will wait until a student dies and then say sorry to the parents, or we wait until a teacher dies and then we'll go carry a card to the family.
And a hamper.
That cannot be our forward. We have to be flexible.
Correct. Another issue we are following. I don't know how many of you would have been following us on this issue, but there was a Letcham woman about a week and a half ago, if not 2 weeks ago, Vanessa Francis, who was hacked to death. She was hacked to death at Papi Show back down. Papi Show back down there in Middle Maz. In the Middle Mazaruni region, this is region 7, Vanessa Francis. There's a man that has been remanded for her death, Royal Bob Semple. He has been remanded for her death. But what is amazing is what this headline says coming out of Kaitra News. A dredge owner confesses to killing Letcham woman over unfinished business. And I'll just read the first paragraph for our listeners. A dredge owner who reportedly confessed to killing Letcham woman Vanessa Francis, 27 years old, popularly known as Chinese Girl, over an unfinished job at Papi Show, Bagdam, located along the Middle Mazaruni River, Region 7, was on Tuesday last remanded to prison for her murder, and we know what that means, right? And this is a pandemic.
And it ties directly back to what Natasha was speaking about earlier, about psychosocial support. We have not stopped in this country to assess just how severely COVID, the economic fallout of COVID, We have not stopped to assess how this has affected the mental health of our communities and of our citizens. We're going along merrily, opening back the place and believing that if we throw two party here and a bashment so, that people will
Yeah.
forget all about it.
Yeah.
But people are traumatized. People lost businesses. Families were disrupted. The education of our children was severely disrupted. So there's a huge learning gap because not everybody had a tablet to go to school online. What is the government doing to address this issue? And I dare say that these are the matters that should be occupying Priya Manik Chan.
Correct is
Instead, she
right.
seems to be focusing on everything else and everybody else except that which falls under her direct purview.
Well, there's a strategy there. When you deflect on the issue, you don't have to deal with it.
Absolutely, but we the people must insist that she turn her gaze towards what she needs to fix in the education sector.
Correct
And
is
we
right.
have to begin to raise our voices and say this is foolishness and demand that these things be looked at. They're spending a lot of time and energy to try to bust the union and to disrupt the work of the GTU. Focus on delivering quality education to our children and alleviating these difficulties that always seem to plague us the first week of school. It is
That's the challenge that we
ridiculous,
have.
man.
But central to our discussion today, Natasha Singh Lewis, and I hope you don't have to run off.
I absolutely have to
Uh,
go to my midday prayers.
oh, good.
Ah,
Thank you for having
We're
me.
going to let you do that.
it's a joy.
only on that account.
It's a joy speaking with you, Natasha. Stay well and
Thank you, Marshall.
remember to
Continue to
pray
pray
for
for us. Yeah,
us.
please do.
Thanks. Bye bye.
All right.
Have a great day, Natasha.
Have a good
Thanks
day.
for joining us. Yep. Thanks, Natasha. So we are talking about the U.S. State Department report, and this is the 2021 country report on human rights practices. That's our discussion today. And first up, in this report, they talked about the 2020 elections. We can't seem to get over that. The 2020 election. And they said, according to international, this is the report, according to international and local observers, it was free and fair. That's the wording of it. According to the international and local observers, it was free and fair. You know what? Even with that said, without them saying that it was credible, right? The CARICOM report said it was reasonably credible, right? Again, the American report says, the American State Department report on human rights practices says it was free and fair, according to them, according to international local observers. Well, if those are observers like Gali Khan, who was wanted by U.S. authorities and who was, arrested subsequently, this was an observer from the Private Sector Commission, who was an observing the election, but he was a con from the U.S. government. He was wanted, and soon after, he tried to get back there, and
he was taken into custody.
immediately. So it was them kind of observers. A lot of observers got big work right now with the administration, right? The third piece of silver, they got one who is advisor on national security. They got one who's advisor on borders, all kind of fancy things.
And even internationally, we have an issue where a former minister of the UNC, Ganga, is it?
Yes.
Singh or Prasad? I don't remember
Ganga Singh.
his last name. Is now being paid very handsomely by the government of Guyana to perform certain functions at the Guyana consulate.
Correct.
In Port of Spain.
Correct. The man get big work.
Right?
He get big work.
At least $10,000 US.
He got a big post.
Now the question necessarily arises: why is a former minister of the Trinidad government, a member of parliament who stood up and made certain utterances against a sitting administration in Guyana, why is he now being employed? Is it because there are no qualified Guyanese to take up that position? People must be outraged at these things, because what you're seeing once again is a practice that traced back to that very injurious statement that Roger Luncheon made. And that is that there were no qualified. He said this under oath, if you recall. when we
Yeah.
cross-examined by Nigel Hughes,
Yeah.
that his government was of the view that there were no qualified Afro-Guyanese.
Correct.
But we haven't even gone to Afro-Guyanese or Indo-Guyanese. Are there no qualified Guyanese,
Yeah.
period?
For this position of Director of Trade, Investment and Agriculture, man.
Can you imagine?
Director of Trade, Investments and Agriculture. He was a minister, as you said, in the United National Congress government, served under Kamala Persad-Bissessar in the Trinidad administration
And
there.
he was here actively campaigning for the 2020
Yep.
elections for the PPP.
Yeah. Everybody get a 30 pieces.
And this is what we talk about. When we say to people, be careful who put in your mouth, the mouth in your story nationally. Because it's not everybody that has the interest of the people of Guyana at heart.
Correct, is right.
And so they...
Nicaragua just showed the OAS.
There you go. They collaborated. They collaborated in their effort to unseat the AP and UAFC. They were successful, but now there are consequences for Guyanese.
Yeah.
Because the average Guyanese is struggling economically, can't feed their families, struggling to find 3 square meals a day. Got to pay $400 a loaf for bread.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, these guys are drawing tens of thousands of US dollars on the backs of Guyanese taxpayers. What it means is that them teachers are getting shocked there today, but being forced to return to work. What it means is that the public servants who have to go through rain and sun and flood to get to work, the taxes that are being deducted from them is what is going to be paid to these guys.
Correct.
We have to begin to wake up and to demand more and to demand better.
Nothing irregular. Nothing irregular. But that being said, it's interesting, and we haven't heard a word of the administrations yet on how come Mr. Ganga Singh, former minister in Trinidad, get his work. But we know. We ain't got to ask. We know.
I would have asked in my portfolio as Shadow Foreign Affairs Minister, I would have transmitted to the Clerk of the National Assembly several questions for you, Todd, asking for the designation of all of the staff. The practices, the long-standing parliamentary practices that they will not provide the name of the office holder, but they will provide the designation and the emoluments. So we have requested this. We have also asked to be advised whether this post was advertised either internally or externally. And if so, we want to see the advert. Because this is not Barjagli and Irfan Ali money. This is the people of Guyana money. And so they're stewards over it, and they must be made to account for how they spend it.
Yeah. No free passes. Please and thank you. No free passes. And so, again, the first bit out of this State Department 2021 country report on human rights practices in Guyana, this is in our country, we see that the Americans fell short of saying that these elections were credible. They said international and local observers said they were free and fair. That being said, another issue coming out of the report we ought to look at is the fact that, let me make sure I get this right. They also talked about unlawful killings and execution. This comes on right at the beginning of the report under Section 1 in the section titled Respect for the Integrity of the Person, Arbitrary Deprivation of Life, and Other Unlawful and Politically Motivated Killings. The report talked about the killing of Orrin Boston and as well Peter Headley. And so they took that out as unlawful killing. And well, you could pick whichever one you want to put it under. Yeah, but they've noted those two.
And they have. I mean, these were two most inflammatory killings. It set Orrin Boston's killing in particular set the village of Dartmouth on the Essequibo coast really on a collision course with law enforcement just because of how dastardly the act was. I mean, this man was in bed sleeping with his wife, and they pulled up into his house, got into his room, and shot him with his children sleeping next door. What we are seeing is a return to the dark days. And as Guyanese, we have to be concerned. We have to be very concerned. Because you see, the internet is such a beautiful tool. If you were to go online and pull up the pre-2015 US reports of this nature, you will see them replete with these instances. And it seems as if we had a 5-year interregnum, a pause, a reprieve, and we are back now to the same old, same old. The trouble that you have now is that we have money and we have resources coming into the economy. And what people do not understand, or I think what we don't get, what we don't appreciate enough, is that money is an amplifier. So whatever is the condition that exists before you have money is a condition that will persist in even greater measure once you can throw money at it. And so what we will see is an amplification of all of these issues. And so I am saying to our people, we gotta wake up.
Correct.
We have to arise from this sleep and this slumber, and we have to understand what is about to beset us. And we have to demand that this government play its part and do what it has to do to make sure that Guyanese are safe. We're seeing a return to crime. You can't walk the streets safely anymore. Look, the incidence of missing young people skyrocketed. The cost of living is high. There just seems to be a perfect storm brewing. And the only people who seem equipped to weather this storm is that top group of friends and cronies that all the contracts are going to. Right?
Correct,
And
right.
we keep saying, I hear public servants saying, irrespective of which government is in power, we still got to work. Yes, but one government will recognize your labor and give you increases accordingly.
Every year.
Right? Every year, the AP and UAFC
Every year.
gave public servants an increase. And another one will completely ignore you and throw you a 3.5% across the board. And so elections have consequences.
Yeah.
And yes, you have to work, but the environment in which you work determines whether your work is rewarding or whether you feel as if it's just modern day slavery. And if you talk to most of the public servants, they will tell you that they feel that they're engaged in modern day slavery. And I asked them, I said, what are you doing about it? Because the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. So what are you doing about it? What are you asking your union to do about it? The people must realize that they are not powerless in this regard, and they must start operating like that.
Correct.
Demand more of your unions. Where is the public service union? What are they doing? I received a text message. I received a text message from somebody in law enforcement, and they were saying to me, MP, salaries of the average public servant is not consistent with the cost of rent, and a lot of tenants are only earning enough to work and to eat. They have little or no financial leverage to develop themselves. The average junior police rank soldier or other public servant on their own, without a child or a family, cannot even keep a $15,000 in savings in their accounts. With inflation, the situation has worsened. And the heads of state are doing a lot of projects and boasting of development. And foreigners are coming here and owning properties and other assets and enjoying the best of all Guyana, while our nationals are stretching their income to eat and to pay bus fare. A lot of Guyanese are suffering in silence, and our human resource and well-being seems to be last priority.
Correct is right.
This is a message that I received.
Correct is right.
And my question to the individual, well, what are we going to do about it? We have identified the problem. So what are we going to do about it? And this is not just MP Amanza or MP Sharon. The
What's
question
next?
is,
What's
what are
next?
we as a collective people going to do about it? Because you see, they can easily, take care of MP Sharon and MP Amanza and so on and so forth. But if you stand united in a call for betterment in your nation, who could be upset with people for wanting more
Yeah.
and wanting a better life
Yeah.
when there is enough fiscal space to give it to them? You
Yeah.
know?
Yep. And so that is the other nugget we're pulling out of the U.S. State Department 2021 country report on human rights practices in Guyana in particular, that the Peter Headley and Oren Boston killings, murders were highlighted there as well. And those stories can be found on our affiliate website, Credible Sources, at crediblesourcesgy.com, crediblesourcesgy.com. On the same topic, we're seeing in Culture News, they have pulled out that Guyanese think government corrupt at all levels. Guyanese think government corrupt at all levels. And then again, this is the U.S. State Department report on human rights. And I'll just read a couple of the paragraphs here for you. It says that a new human rights report released by the U.S. State Department has found that Guyanese citizens continue to perceive widespread corruption in every level of government and its branches. The report was released last week. The report stated that the law provides for criminal penalties for corruption by officials, and the government generally implements the law effectively. It said that there were isolated reports of government corruption during the year. An administration official investigated these reports, but there remained a widespread public perception of corruption involving officials at all levels and all branches of government, including the police and judiciary.
And that is that. And I noticed they have a photograph of the Parliament building there, accompanying the article. I know it makes a very important visual point because a number of people, um, of course, look to the opposition in Parliament
Yeah.
to bring representation. The reality is that what the opposition in Parliament can do is ventilate matters and bring the facts to bear, because we have select committees that we can employ to bring the facts out. But the reality is that the numbers at the end of the day are with the government.
Correct.
And because you have a government that is not willing to engage in inclusionary democracy, they will use their one-seat majority to do what they did with Natural Resources Bill, what they did with the quorum for the for the PAC, for the Public Accounts Committee. So when we bring the information out, we expect to be supported by the people of Guyana who understand that they have a vested interest in this. And so it's a hand in glove approach, because you always have the numbers against you in the National Assembly. But the idea is to bring the information out. The way we were able to uncover the issue with the Sputnik vaccine,
We unpack that.
right? In the Parliament, we were able to discover that. And it was only because we questioned and we asked.
And the regional security teams.
The regional security teams that they're setting up.
The Black Cross.
And so that is what you can do in Parliament. You have a robust parliamentary agenda, but the reality is what it will do is bring the information to light. Because the PPP will always use the speaker, I'm sorry to say, the same speaker that ruled that the flooding was not a topic of urgent public importance, or COVID-19 wasn't a topic of urgent public importance, to overrule the opposition.
Correct.
So it has to be an effort that is across the board. It cannot be just in Parliament.
Correct is right. Correct is right. And so, again, lots of work needed at every level. And, you the listeners, you have a part to play as well, right? And Amanza always says, what are you going to do about it, right? It's about what we allow as people. And so I know the administration is going to be scratching their heads. And I was asking Amanza, well, it was a rhetorical question of sorts in a sense too, this morning, about, how do these guys feel when they read this stuff, Because some of them very pious, right? Very pious and actually believe they got a proper government. But how do you rationalize this kind of stuff? Right? Well, some of them must be taking money and taking, you know, eating a bread. So they know it's true. Ain't about them.
And that is you hit on a nail. You hit the nail on the head, and I notice, like, because I read some of the comments sometimes, and people are calling, oh, you have to have boots on the ground and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But if you call a protest realistically, how many people are going to show up?
Mm-hmm. Some people don't even have
Eh?
boots till it's the first day of school.
How many people are going to show up realistically? And so it's okay for us to make these calls, but
Yeah.
if you look
Yep.
at all of the great movements throughout history, look at the move for emancipation from slavery. It required people stepping out on a limb and saying, you know what, we're going to ban rebellion and we are going to be a part of the struggle for better.
All are involved.
Look at voting rights with the suffragettes when women were not allowed to vote. Women had to decide, you know what, we are going to ban our bellies, and with allies fought for that. Look at the civil rights movement.
Mm-hmm.
Martin Luther King and all of these guys, Malcolm X and all of these people face persecution to the cost of their lives.
Yeah. Rosa Parks ain't going to the back of the bus.
Rosa Parks, I'm sitting right here.
Too much. We said have the seat. You guys get me.
You understand? These things require a commitment and a dedication.
Mm-hmm.
And people who decided, you know what, I am going to make a difference where I am. I will speak up where I am. But everybody is looking to somebody else to be the deliverer. Nobody's coming to deliver Guyanese. We got to deliver ourselves. Correct is right.
Correct is right. That's the challenge we have right now. That is the challenge we have. It is a multitude of problems, a legion of problems, and we get in no place. And that's why we saw the kind of editorial we saw of Kaiser News over the weekend. Broken vows, articulating all of the things that the administration promised that they have reneged on, whether it is the renegotiation of the PSC, the sharing agreement, the petroleum sharing agreement of 2016. They promised they're going to renegotiate that with Exxon. Well, then now, and it's a different tune. They promised they're going to reopen the sugar estates. Then now it's a different tune. Crime is just where it is. There isn't a person in this country, I think, who haven't been touched by some criminal activity or event.
Last Christmas Eve, I was in my home baking bread for Pepper Pot the next morning when I got a call at my cousin. Young man, 39, he would have been 40 this year, was shot dead.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most productive citizens you'll ever meet. He was a sensei. And, when you hear the amount of young people who came forward to talk about how we touched their lives, you realize it was such a senseless act of such an incredible life cut short.
Yeah. My nephew was on the seawalls, I think a couple of weekends ago, Easter weekend. And, there were other folks there. And then two boys, Broccoli and his girlfriend, and robbed them,
And you create a class. It just seems to be a downward spiral with no end in sight, just a degeneration. And the PPP likes it that way because what it does is that once you're distracted here with issues of survival, they're thieving over there and they're enriching themselves. And Guyanese would spend hours cussing each other on Facebook.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, when they're done cuss each other, they got to go sit down and figure out what is it that I'm going to feed my family.
Yeah.
How is that right?
And then boys just dump 20 plus billion in Gaisuko. Like it's nothing.
like
nothing.
It's nothing. Can't give the public servants an increase.
Yeah.
Can't give the nurses, the frontline workers.
Old age pension has not been paid as yet. Passed since the last budget, the increase.
We passed that increase and the people cannot get it.
Oh, yes.
But guess what? They're going to put on a Dexter Dap show, and you're going to buy hair and clothes and so on, and do your nails, and you're going to go to the Dexter Dap show. And you got to wonder what will be next. Now, I'm saying that people should be entertained, there should be entertainment, but it is a question of priorities and not falling for the okie doke and not being distracted by these things.
Yeah, you got to hold the focus.
Got to hold a focus.
Hold of focus, people, hold of focus. That's what it's all about. Hold of focus. That's what we got to do. But we're so glad that you guys are here with us. On a lighter issue, one of our boxers performed exceptionally well yesterday, Amanda. On Saturday, that is. Elton Dari. Elton Dari came off the canvas, according to this report we have here, in the final round to unanimously defeat Orlando Penalba, right? In front of thousands, they say, at the national stadium. That's why all the nights of these bands.
Well, congratulations.
Right? Congratulations indeed.
To Elton. He has been around for a long time. He's been fighting for a while. And so,
you shall reap in due season, Amanda.
If you faint not.
If you do wrong a little bit, and respect and manners.
Yes.
Respect and manners.
Congratulations.
Respect and manners. He has won the WBC Super Flyweight International title. And that's the full accolade there. The WBC Super Flyweight International title. Respect and manners.
I don't think enough is being done to highlight the achievements of our Guyanese athletes. I can only cast my mind back to the Carifta Games fiasco.
Oh boy.
I was looking.
We can go there, aren't we?
Yes, we will go there because enough is enough. This is nonsense. When you look at the reception of, for example, the Bajans when their team came back, Guyana, it was just abysmal by comparison. Our athletes have perhaps performed the best that Guyana has ever performed at Carifta Games. And what is
the problem is
for them?
it didn't. Their coming back didn't coincide with Carnival cricket or whatever. See another big jump up of music. That was the travesty.
No, we laugh, but
we didn't expect them to come back with anything. So there was nothing planned. That's the problem.
Yeah, but
right? We didn't expect. You see,
if they're coming back, your fan could have taken an hour and go up to the airport and meet them.
If the team didn't perform well, they'd probably be too ashamed to ask about the water and the food and so on.
The minister could have gone up to receive them.
Yeah.
Instead, he invites them to his office.
Yeah.
By themselves, individually. Why not as a group? Huh? Why not as a group? Why are you inviting them one-on-one to one-on-one meeting?
Yeah. Divide and rule. Divide. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Nothing on regular folks, but we out here. We out here, and we're gonna continue to talk the things. Good to have each and every one of you. Basil, we see you there. Basil Clark and Andre Brownface. What else we got, Amanda?
Philomena Fontanelle is on. We have the lane and run. This says there's no NIS increase either.
Yeah. You see some names and you got a picture of the people. Philomena Fontanelle. I got a picture and I hope it matches up with the Mayburn King, we see you, Mayburn and Deborah Clark, Wilfred McCaddy, Selena, good to see you.
Fraser.
Selena, thanks to the thing.
Penelope Hudson.
Selena, thanks to the thing.
Wow.
Thanks to the thing.
Look at this. Royal Nubian Queen said, my son got stopped for his own iPhone. A part of his lungs collapsed. And the police still have not found them.
Yeah. You know when you see police in action? Let it go robbery. Like a big robbery.
Yeah, and there's some businessman connected to the government that could jeopardize their jobs.
Or a couple of millions get taken, so you can see movements.
Sherrod, when you wake up and you have to face the reality that is Guyana, it's so easy to become discouraged and despondent.
Yeah.
But I remain hopeful that the people of Guyana will wake up and will demand their just
Amanda, a lot of people
deserve.
do. When they wake up and they realize what is Guyana is, the same like yesterday. Let's pull back the sheet over there and go back to sleep because they're unemployed at the home.
No,
right?
This is true.
Let's pull back the sheet over there and go back to sleep.
What happened to the 50,000
They wake
jobs?
up. Well, Sabaknews was asking that in that editorial broken promises because they want to know if this 600 part-time jobs is part of that. And they went on even so far to see, they're wondering if just the number, announcing the number counts because they don't know who will take it up and who won't. There's no way to track it. Sabaknews was really being living. I know it's funny over the weekend, but it's some plantain and eggs and some anchovies. Whatever it was.
saucy, man. I've never seen anything like it.
All
Never
this
seen
Sunday,
it like
boy.
it. You know, what about it? But the question
Yeah.
continues to
Yeah.
arise. Why do we as Guyanese keep falling for this foolishness? Why do we keep falling for it? What is it that is in us that Jaglio could turn up and to tell us in 2012 that if he builds sugar, if he don't build Skeldon, sugar is dead. All right? He builds Skeldon. Sugar dead till they can't revive it. And he's going to come again
Yep.
to tell them, oh, we're going to do hemp and shrimp.
We're
We're going to do hemp and shrimp.
It's them doing hemp all along, you know. See, them farm, you're burning for 47 million. So it's them,
Well,
you know.
let me,
It's them.
I have a position on that because I believe it is a complete waste to be burning those things. When there's a huge industry for medicine
export to Jamaica or
we ain't
somewhere.
ready for that conversation.
47 million.
We're not ready for
Them
that
buy burning up.
conversation. But what is it that is in you as a human being that this man could come and lie to you once, lie to you twice, and he come to tell you about hemp and shrimp, not understanding that on the world market, people got hemp lying down rotting because they can't find a market.
You can find the market. Just going to find the market for sugar.
For sure. And now they're saying that they are right sizing it. When all along, had they returned the AP and UFC government to office, they would have been farther along in this right sizing. Because you remember the plan was to give each sugar worker land to do,
which some of them got at Wales, for instance.
Some of them got
that they take back
and now get taken back.
Right. You know, Granger must be laughing, you
know, because
because
they fell for the sweet talk, and now they are suffering, they're punishing. And I am not completely persuaded that they won't fall for it again. But we was asked, well, why are we so gullible as Guyanese? What is it that people could come fool us once, fool us twice, fool us 3 times? Hemp and shrimp? And right-sizing the industry now? And these guys go back to their well-air-conditioned homes with their big fancy vehicles, and they laugh at them. Because the reality is that the PPPC and their elites, they see people as pawns in
But you know what's making bust a big laugh? When you read an article, like, for instance, you have to take Starbuck News editorial on Saturday, the Broken Vows editorial, along with Alan Goldstein, again writing for Starbuck News, highlighting all of the failed projects in this country, you know, all of which emanated on the PPC, failed projects. And then when you hear some people say, Jack, you're bright. Yeah. You know, we're the only country in the world. You fail every exam. You just come out, you get a certificate. People say, hey, there's the bright boy.
Right. And you point to the Berbice River Bridge. And while it is a most convenient bridge, the cost to traverse that bridge is a problem for commuters. Now, they had a situation where there were boats. The Granger administration put in place a system of boats that used to use the old stelling so that students who had to get over to New Amsterdam to get to secondary school could cross. The PPP scrapped that. So parents, have to find $400 one way. That's $800 a day.
That bridge price is a little hot because if you're driving up to Berbice, you want to go and hang out on the side. You gotta make sure you got a nice tank of gas, and then you gotta pay another $2,800 or something on that bridge. You know, it's a little thing. It's a little thing.
And so the cost of development, and look at the model that they use. Strip NIS bare. I mean,
Yep. NIS fighting up. You know, I look at that thing, and people don't understand this. You know, I look at that money they invested from NIS, and many times I would go at NIS trying to get help for various persons, and I look at NIS falling down. You go in some sections in NIS, the roof leaking, the roof out, but you get all this money from NIS to build bridge and all of that, you know, and NIS barely making it.
It is true, and actually is calling on them to reinvent themselves. How? When you strip.
With what?
With what?
Right?
But you know what? Again, the disregard
Mm-hmm.
that this government has to the people of Guyana.
Yeah.
They believe that they're going to build
Yeah.
a substandard road, turn on a couple of lights, and
Yeah.
Guyanese going to be like, wow, and
Yeah.
forget
Yeah.
all
Don't forget the
of
jumpy boy.
hardship.
Don't forget the
And
jumpy boy. To a jumping board at the head of the road. And people say, wow, this the ninth wonder of the world. Right? And you know, in addition to that, talking about NIS, I saw somewhere recently somebody said that they've been struggling to get NIS for a woman who worked for over 20 years.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and
Because people's
yeah,
contributions are disappearing.
yeah,
They can't
yeah. They
account
said
for
something
it.
burned down and then getting record, but here was hurtful. I was made to understand. True story this. True story this. A senior government functionary, I was made to understand that his mother was out by quite a few contributions
Yes.
to get her NIS pension, right? And I heard a lot of authority prevailed upon the NIS officials to still pay her
Yes.
her pension. She was out by quite a few contributions.
There is
And the same thing is not being extended to other people.
There is
Oh,
no
God.
justice
Okay.
for poor people.
Oh, God.
You know, sometimes
We did about
as
4
as
podcasts
a
on that.
member of parliament,
Where do we go for justice?
people tend to see you and they tend to genuflect. Oh, come and think. I am always one that prefer to observe the way the system works. So I would join the line and I'd see how the ordinary man is treated. And it is sometimes so disgusting.
Pressure.
So disgusting.
Pressure.
You know, where does the ordinary man go? And it happens because our institutions are not working and we allow disrespect.
Yeah. That's where we are. That's where we be. That's what it is. But a brighter day will come. In my Amanza voice.
No, a brighter day has to come.
It will come.
A brighter day has to come, and we will keep doing what we can do on our end. But we can only do so much.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Without the people and their support, you will never have a successful calling to reckoning for this government.
And as Elton Derry taught us over the weekend, you shall reap in due season if you faint not. So we're going to continue. We're going to tarry here a little longer. We're going to tarry here yet for a little while.
We must. We're talking about.
So hold straight, folks.
And hold a focus.
Hold straight and hold a focus.
And hold a focus. We are too easily distracted. But you know what? Sometimes, even in our distraction, Sharon, I often think that it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
We focus on things that we can control, and so we can, because we know we can cuss out we neighbor good, we can do when that's now bothering us really, you know. But the thing that is bothering us seems so insurmountable that we don't even worry with it. And we don't focus on what we need to focus on.
Yeah. You know, there's you often say that we use humor as a coping mechanism. And my mind is taken back to an old film called The Lion in Winter. It is Peter O'Toole and Audrey Hepburn. Two very, very classic actors. Y'all people be show.
Y'all know Sharon.
The Lion in Winter. And so there's one point in the movie where something he does to her and she's laughing. And he meant to hurt her by what he said. And he asks, why are you laughing? She said, it's how I registered despair.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
How I registered despair.
And Maya Angelou has a poem, They Wear the Mask. I want everybody who on this live, because you need to have access to a smartphone, go and research on YouTube Maya Angelou's Wear a Mask.
Be encouraged.
You know, and you'll see how for generations people have used humor to cope. But outside of coping, coping means okay, we can't change what we can just do, but we can change.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can, folks. That's our time for today. At least we carry on another hour. And then we're saying, let's fight. Good to have each and every one of you here. Colin Barnwell and Selena Fraser. Selena again. Selena's. Thanks for the thing. Thanks for the thing, Selena. Manners and respect. Respect and manners. Good to see you, Patricia Kisson. I can't come too close. I can't see. If I stay too far, I can't see. Lion in Winter.
Deborah
Good to see
Clark
you.
and Edward Gonzalez is watching from the Bronx.
GT Star Boy, want your autograph?
GT Star Boy. Sunday
Gotta get the
Khan
stars.
says good afternoon, everyone.
Yep.
Sheena Hazel, good afternoon to you.
Yep.
Maureen Coppin Williams, one of our usual
Regulars.
viewers and
Regulars.
listeners. Akila Ash.
Regulars.
Guys, it's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. Like we said,
Always.
we aim here to provide you valid, credible, reliable information so that informed citizens can make informed decisions. Thank you for joining us at our noontime podcast. And we have In the Ring coming up
In
tonight
the
at
ring.
8
In the ring. Yeah, let's fight.
with Mr. Duncan. Let's fight.
Bing, bang, bing. Ping, pang, ping. That's how we're going.
Thank you for joining us, guys.
Yep.
Have a great rest of the day.
Yeah, that's our time, folks. Stay safe. Stay safe.